All right. Hey, everyone. Kevin Plowy here from Yahoo Entertainment. I am super excited. Thank you, guys. I'm super excited to be here in New York today hosting a Build Series chat with the cast of AMC's Preacher. Here today with us are Dominic Cooper and Ruth Negga. Well, let's get into Preacher. Season 3 coming up this weekend. This show is insane. It is uproarious. It is brutal. It is grotesque, and I mean that in like the best possible way, and at points hilarious. I'm going to start with one thing I've always wondered about this show, and with you guys specifically. What kind of feedback have you gotten from actual preachers or people of the cloth?
I never ask on purpose.
Don't want to know.
No, no, no.
I don't think they think much of it. Jesse is a preacher, I don't think, but I from the ones.
Would you though?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't really. He wasn't very good at it.
You haven't found your fans in that sector yet?
I don't think they exist.
I think that we have a writer called Mary Laws who's actually, her parents are both Methodist preachers, and she actually trained to be a preacher, and she writes for us. And actually, I hate to wheel her out as the person to speak on our behalf as a Christian, but she is. And but I'm always sort of struck by her, the way she says that it's an interrogation of your faith. And her parents are preachers, and they're really supportive of it. And
Her scripts are often the most outrageous.
they are the most outrageous.
Oh, yeah.
And I think she actually, I can quote her saying that. And when apparently Sarah Palin said that our show shouldn't be watched, and her parents texted her and said, "Well done." Well done. You've achieved something in your life.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
The
maybe
stamp
it's
of
working.
anti-approval.
But I do think it's an interrogation of faith rather than an attack on faith.
Absolutely. Well, season 1 was kind of a preamble to the graphic novel that it's based on. It set up, the exposition set up these characters very nicely. Season 2, we saw them go on this road trek that they're known for. We see, the Saint of Killers, on their tails. But let's talk some season 3. What can you guys tell us if you want to set it up for us? Where are we going to see this series go?
I think they've finally let themselves completely go. They've slowly built it, as you just said. The first one was to sort of embed it in a reality and work out who these people were and where they came from. And I think they just kept saying to one another and in the writing, just go further. It's what the comic book always did. It's like, just take it as far as you possibly can. And now they've just introduced so many of certainly the characters that I was excited to meet in this season. It's been a joy to be introduced to them and to really understand the heritage and the background for Jesse's family, really understand who they are and why they are the people that they are. And everything has gone, it's just like, it just feels like they've decided to absolutely not hold anything back and just make it as outrageous as possible.
Yeah.
But that's only allowed because I think that the moments that it has that are real and personal and truthful and heartfelt are real. And I think that's what's brilliant is what the writers have managed to do. And it allows us to be as outrageous as we can because there are those moments of truth within it.
Mm-hmm. I want to talk about the outrageousness of it all in a bit, but first I want to talk a little bit more about these two great characters. Dominic, we'll start with Jesse. This is a man who has the power of persuasion. He's godlike in a way, yet also amazingly still relatable. How do you keep him grounded?
He's lost his grounding quite often, and I think that I find it interesting that he mismanages power tremendously. He really fails dismally when he acquires it and when he has it within him. And I think that's a reflection often that I see within people in society, that no one really knows how to manage such ultimate power. It's often seen through money. But he is struggling, and you meet him in the beginning as a man just trying to re-establish himself to himself and who he is. He's completely lost. And he goes on this kind of journey. He finds the one true person that he loves, and he has that. That's the solid that he has in his life. but it's kind of chaotic, and he gets into these terrible states and predicaments, but actually you can kind of see a joy and an enjoyment because it's all he knows out of the chaos. Everything is a challenge, but he sort of ultimately knows he'll get through it one way or another. But he's a violent and dangerous and very complex and difficult and challenged man who doesn't really know who he is. And he's ever changing. It's a very exciting character to play.
Yeah, I could see that. Ruth, Tulip is she's a badass. I'm going to start with that. She's her badassery knows no bounds. But beyond that, she's such a dynamic character. She's so charismatic. She's still so likable. But what did you tap into? Who are your inspirations in creating this character beyond what was already on the page?
I don't know. I think I don't know. I see her and I play her. It really is that simple for me. I mean, I don't know. I think I've been doing this for a while now, and I think that I hope that I have the accoutrements to just see someone and bring them to life. But for me, what she suggests is dynamism in life, and the fact that we are all contradictory, and we're flawed, desperately flawed, but we don't really address that, do we? We're kind of subjected to these ideas of perfection all the time, daily, and I think she rejects that just by being herself. This idea that you have to be this person, or you're this person, or this person. And I think I like her because I think she's a warrior against perfection, because we can't achieve that. It's impossible. But we're told that it is. And I think we're chasing empty dreams. And I think that she's actually always questioning herself. And I admire that about her. She's always going, fuck, I fucked up again. Fuck this. How am I going to be a better person? And I admire that about her. She's never in some sort of stasis about she's she's on the trajectory of someone who's great. It's always she's trying to be a better person, and I think that's an inspiration for me anyway.
She embraces her imperfections.
I think we're all. I don't know if embrace is the right word, because I think we're all going, oh, God, just if I could erase them, I would.
Right.
But I think she's just accepting them, if that makes sense. And I think there's a scene, I don't know if it's in episode 1 or 2, when she goes to purgatory and she sort of has a Ghost of Christmas Past episode. And I think that really encourages her to be kinder to herself and sort of more accepting of herself. And therefore more accepting of other people in her life, and I think it matures her. And I always think, oh God, we could all do with a bit of a dose of Ghosts of Christmas Past.
Sure,
couldn't we?
The tone for this series was set within the first, I think, 60 seconds in that pilot episode when that African preacher exploded. That happened. You're like, oh, okay, this is going to be this series. This is where they're going to go with it. And I think it's only gotten more outrageous since. Obviously you guys are on the ground filming this. You're creating this, but when you watch this show, what have been those moments where you're like, I can't believe we pulled that off?
I think we're inured to it now. We're like, okay, fine, cool, whatever.
It's funny how used to it, how quickly you get used to it. There's a sort of entrail and anus hanging from the ceiling that's just exploded out of a sort of whatever it is, and you're just talking about, can we move it to the left, please? Can you move that entrail? And just swimming through sort of blood and feces and various other sort of hideous things. Yeah. But you do kind of it just becomes completely normal. But it has been. It's still when you do watch it, you're still amazed by the audacity of it, and actually you don't really see it for what it is when you're making it. You become very used to kind of the physical aspect of the disgusting, but then you
like most actors, we're like, fine, where's me?
Yeah,
fine, me.
But and the fighting and for example, that in that first one, I remember the snapping of the arm, which I didn't think at all about. but with the effects and with the editing and with everything else, you really understand kind of and bits you don't see when you're filming that you're outraged by. But again, I think this season particularly, each and every episode has something absolutely either you have to turn away from, or that is so repulsive or so unbelievable or so unlike anything you see on television. So,
like the last fight scene, which happens in a bus.
Okay, I was going to ask
I
if you
remember
could tease
reading
one
this
of these
and
moments.
I was like, oh, God love them. This isn't ever going to happen.
Yeah.
It did happen. It happened, and we did it. And I can't believe we did it. It was traumatic, but we did it. But we've got an amazing fight team.
It's funny seeing kind of, I went actually into the writer's room early on, just seeing these kind of ideas formulate and these people just coming up with these crazed and going as far as they possibly could. And then you see this panicky producer who gets this first script and just starts wobbling with fear because it's just so outrageous. Like we can't ever shoot that. We'll never be able to. And tries to reduce.
But there's a ton of people going, we'll do it.
Yeah.
And they do it.
And they do it.
Yeah.
And that's why it's unlike anything I've worked on. Like you saying, the fight sequences, the ones I've worked on this would take on a film would be given weeks and weeks. We shoot
Art department, it's amazing. I mean, we walked into the Langell. Like this is. I think this will like fans will be so like happy about this when you just see the Langell name,
the family home. Yeah,
the family like home.
The attention
And you
to
walk
detail.
in, the attention to detail in that house is unbelievable. I mean, like it was unbelievable.
It feels like there's a lot of people working on it who really care about it and have a deep passion for it and have a background in the past from the comics. And that makes a very special environment to make, I think, it what it is.
So it sounds like what you guys are saying is you haven't yet encountered that line that cannot be crossed. Has like, to your knowledge, has there been a scene where they're like, this is too far. We can't do this.
Oh, I think people have felt that.
We've thought that.
Yeah.
But no one seems to acknowledge
you.
it. It's like we can't. We're not actually doing that, are we? We can't. You can't.
To be honest, at the moment in time, nothing that I've seen on TV or film is as scary as what's going on now. So I don't think a line has been
Amen.
crossed.
I still can't believe you killed Tom Cruise in the pilot episode.
And people still talk
amazing
about
Easter egg.
That is so amazing.
Yeah, this is very. And no complaints.
No complaints.
I have the same agent as him. He didn't even complain.
We've got to talk about a pair of your executive producers, Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. I imagine when you were talking about the people up top that were nodding and going like, no, this is going to happen. Those guys are two of those people. I remember when the show was launched, a lot of people were surprised that they were connected to it, that they were developing it. Of course, they're better known for raunchier comedy genre. But what tell us how they've sort of put their handprints on it and how actively involved they are in the day-to-day on set.
I remember meeting them very early on, and I've never seen two people so enthusiastic and excited. And it was like a dream had come true that finally it was greenlit, and they were being given the go-ahead to make something that they had wanted to for so long. And this had been through many different processes and many different directors and many different film studios, I think, and it never could be put together. And I think
Never took wings, and they did it, and it's a testament to their passion for it, and also like their power in Hollywood. Like these two, like stoner dudes, can get shit done.
Really smart story.
Go everybody.
dudes.
No, but they truly but they work bloody hard, and they are passionate about it. But I think people are very surprised at who likes comics, and I think lately we've just proved that like the comic book world is not just like for like a small minority of people. There are lots of people from every diverse background who enjoy comics. And I think that we're part of that sort of movement saying like it's wide open to everybody. It's not just like this kind of like strange geeky world. It's for everybody. And it is strange and geeky because we all are strange and geeky.
Right.
And that's fine, but like it's not that kind of like stereotypical strange person, weirdo like that everyone has thought of like in comics. Like comic books are for everybody. And they serve like a purpose, and the purpose for me anyway when I was growing up is to make me feel like part of a community, and that's a very important thing. I think that's what they do. And
I think it was important that they directed the pilot, and they always came in on the second season to kind of lay the foundation of the tone and what they wanted it to be, because they knew the comics so well. And it's never felt like they're far away. You always get notes and phone calls about. It's very interesting having them there and not having them there, because they know exactly, even if you do a look or a gesture or you say a line in a certain way, they really are very aware of whether that's heading in the right direction. So they're watching everything. They're editing everything, and and I'm sure they'd be love to be directing more of them as well, because they're brilliant when they do.
I've been on a couple of their film sets for their comedies, and like nothing I've ever witnessed. These guys are, the entire time between takes, they're yelling out new lines. I mean, they're throwing out like 20, 30 alts for every take. Did they bring any of that to Preacher?
It wasn't quite that haphazard, because the script, I think that's probably where they're developing, that's more comedy.
They allow you
Right.
to do
Yeah,
it. Like,
yeah.
we're allowed to just
You
riff.
can go.
But I think they really enjoyed it. I remember them saying, and also Seth being an actor, he's very good with acting notes as well. He knows what's very helpful. And I think they found it very different, but they're really enjoyable to do something more dramatic. That had the comedy element as well to it, but actually it's probably the first thing they did that had the serious aspect as well to it.
Yeah, because I think a Preacher it's crazy and it's sort of obscene, but it is rooted in a very emotional sort of world of this triadic relationship, who and I think that like people are drawn to it because of that as well. These three people love each other in this very odd, strange way, but I think people are drawn to that. Yeah. And I think that Seth and Evan are very much invested in that relationship as well, I mean, they came from Freaks and Geeks, which is an amazing show, I mean, and that kind of dealt with that as well, is that these people that you think are on the kind of outside and we're dealing with their lives, we're kind of investigating that and, delving into that internal life of people who are like pariahs, social pariahs. And I think that's becoming more the norm, and I like that.
Craziest thing I ever read or heard about Seth Rogen was that he started writing Superbad when he was 12 years old.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah,
Have you met
it's
his
insane.
parents? Have you met his parents?
No.
Like
I think I've seen his mom on Twitter.
They're so supportive. When they come to our show, they're like, "Yeah, great, brilliant."
Yeah.
We're like, "Are you sure?"
Well, Ruth, you mentioned the fan base. This is a series that its source material has a very devout following, pun intended, and I think it's that following has grown over the course as this has been adapted over the course of the first two seasons.
I hope so. I hope we haven't diminished it.
I don't think so. What have been your interactions like with fans? When somebody comes up to you about the show, can you sort of tell if they're a disciple of the graphic novels versus someone who's been converted by the television series?
Not necessarily. No, I can't. I don't know. I just think that hopefully people have gone and delved back into them, because Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon created, for me, the ultimate comic. It was like I knew about this comic before I was in it, and it's so intelligent, and it's sort of it's a novel. Like it's a novel, and it's art, because it's what it is. It's interrogating the way we look at life, and comics do that. And I think people are realizing, finally, the power of that. I mean, look at Black Panther. Huge.
Yeah. So you were one of those disciples.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
So you guys are both from across the pond, as we say, filming this in New Mexico, American Southwest.
That was our first season.
Yes.
And then we have been filming this second and third in Louisiana.
In Louisiana, yes. So all across the heartland, they're strong Southern accents involved. What is that experience? How has that experience changed? Your opinion on that part of the country, if at all. What has that experience been like for you guys?
I think it was quite interesting for us, both. I think in that we've completely and utterly fallen in love with New Orleans and the people there and the support and the work that they put it. We couldn't have made this show without those people. The people behind the scenes. They worked so incredibly hard.
We had the best crew.
And the place itself is so interesting because we've moved around it quite a lot, and then you get settled like you do with anywhere that you move to. And we've been there a long time now. For 6 months we're there shooting. We've done 2 years in a row. So it feels so much part of the show. And it's an incredible, diverse, strange, peculiar, but wonderful and artistic and ever-changing, incredible place. Unlike anywhere.
Leave to it now.
Yeah,
I can't,
but we weren't at
can't.
first. It took a while, I think, as well, didn't it? It was like because we didn't find our footing. We hadn't worked it out yet, and then it's become like a home.
I mean, it's such a strange and interesting place, New Orleans. There's nowhere else like it in the world. I mean. Yeah. It has such a special place in my heart. I love it so much. And we had the best, 2 years of 6 months. You build a relationship with people, and they loved our show, and we loved our show. And it's such a nice thing to just be making something that everyone cares about. It's not just some run of the mill. It's something that people are really want to make brilliant. And that atmosphere was very much there. Yeah. And also the city, we felt buoyed by the city. It just felt like they wanted us to be there, and it's just I adore the place.
Yeah, I'm with you. The food, the culture, the music.
The people
are so warm.
Fucking nice.
Yeah.
It says everything that they just want to have a party. They just create a party for any idea for anything. They just celebrate something as long as there's a party every weekend. And why not? It's a great way to live. It's a celebration of being, alive. And there's always something happening. And you always stumble across incredible musicians just hanging out on the street. It's wonderful. Mm-hmm.
Well, we are going to go to some questions from the audience. So who do we have up first? Hello.
Hi. So you both worked on Marvel shows separately, and then but also worked together on Warcraft. I was wondering, was your approach on working on those sort of fantasy projects the same as working on this show, and how long have you guys been working together?
We started working together in 2009 because we come as a couple.
Yeah, we did a play together.
We did a play called Phaedra. It was a Ted Hughes adaptation, wasn't it? After Racine. At the National Theatre in London. And then we just went, I can't bear to be without you.
We completely coincidentally got cast in quite a few things after that. And although I forced my way into this one, I stole the script and then headed into the audition quick, sharpish. Yeah. But those other jobs, I mean, Warcraft is a good example. Because it's just
we had a ball in Warcraft. It was such fun working with everybody on that.
In what I said before about fight sequences and stuff, we'd spend just weeks and weeks and weeks because of the CGI and the costumes and the horses. And it was just massive.
And Preacher, 4 seconds.
Yeah, that's the difference. It's unbelievable. That these people have achieved, but that's just massive scale film that needed that amount of work and needed a particular type of way in which to film it. And then the Marvel things, I don't know what your experience was like, but
playing Reyna, I had a ball. I loved it. I had such a good experience on S.H.I.E.L.D. It was so lovely. I felt very welcomed, and I loved that character, and I felt like very much like on this show, very much part of the process of developing that character. That it was conspiratorial in the best sense.
Great. And we have one last question, then we got to wrap things up.
Hi, guys. We're going to take our last question from an online viewer. So Becca wants to know if each of you could go back and give your younger selves a piece of important advice, what would it be and why?
Mine would be worry Worry not about what other people think of you. Worry not about what you should be doing. Think about what you want to be doing and what serves you.
And enjoy it. Yeah, it's all brief and whatever it is that you're doing, really take the time to sort of cherish it and enjoy it for what it is, and understand that it's how lucky you are to be involved in the things that we've been involved in. I suppose looking back, you wonder whether you were as what's the word? If you appreciated it really enough. And I think it's always to be aware of that and enjoy it always, rather than be worried.
Great. Dominic, Ruth, thank you guys so much for being here
Thanks
today.
for having us.
Thank you guys for coming and checking out the Q&A.
I love that you're wearing old preacher things.
Yes. Thank you guys for watching, wherever you may happen to be watching this. And Preacher will return this Sunday, June 24th on AMC. Thanks.